Troopers? Welcome to the Trooper Transmission. Today we got my man Cody here to talk all things fitness, troopers, and who knows where we'll end up by the end of this podcast. So, dude, thanks for taking the time, man.
Of course, very happy to be here. And I mean, especially part of the group.
Yeah, happy to have you a part of it. It's amazing to see how far you've progressed in just a short amount of time. So I always like to start these off with what was going on in your world 6 months ago, or even longer than that, that ultimately led up to you getting to the point where you're like, all right, I got to make a change.
So for the longest time, I've always kind of had that dream in the distance of when I'm thinner, but then never actually acting on it. Listen to all these fitness people talking about how to do it, but then absorbing the knowledge without actually executing on it. And then finally seeing your videos on Instagram of all places of just Anabolicans, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like these are really funny. Like this is kind of great. And then just watching them and then, kind of thinking, okay, Star Wars weight loss, that's kind of cool. And then I saw your Wazoo hat. I was like, oh, and he's from Washington. And it really just started kind of hitting me. I'm just like, how much more of like a blinking red light of this is your start. Just do it. Do you need?
Yeah.
And so sent you a message. I think the first message was you bought the like Star Wars coffee from Bones Coffee. I was like, oh, I just got that too. Yeah. And then that just started the conversation and got the interest going.
Speaking of coffee. It's funny the little connections that, the Wazoo or the Star Wars, or sometimes for people it's, they like World War II or they've got a 1-year-old, and it's little things that, create that initial like, oh, like I can do this. I can join, I can start. And I love that you mentioned that you followed a lot of things and digested a lot, but didn't take action. I heard this quote yesterday and I loved it, where it was, a dream without action is a hallucination. And so for a while you were hallucinating. Now you're taking action. You're already, progressing, and we'll get to that in a second. But it's awesome that, you were able to be like, okay, cool. I found my thing, and then just dive all the way in. And as you started to take the steps to get started, and as you were getting started, maybe that first week, what were some of the initial fears, concerns, worries, or did you feel like, cool, I'm ready to roll. I've been dreaming about this. I'm finally going to go and act on it.
It was mainly just the ready, like the let's get going. I finally made the mental just flip of we're doing this. I mean, there were still kind of the fears of, will I be able to keep with it? I told myself I'm going to do this, but, am I actually going to be able to stick with it? Because I've tried weight loss stuff in the past. I bought weights. I bought a walking pad, kept telling myself I'm going to use these, and then just let them sit. And so it was just one of the, okay, if I do this, am I actually going to make myself stick to it? And so far, so good.
Yeah, definitely. The thing that I'm curious for you, as you've gotten started, and we'll get to more of like your keys to success right away, but what were some of the like things that maybe you'd tried in the past that didn't work? And then what were some of the little shifts that you made that actually made it unlock? Was it getting a coach and actually like getting support? Was it shorter workouts? Like what was the thing that you noticed was like, oh, I was maybe doing it 5 degrees off a little bit?
So a few years ago, during kind of the whole shutdown thing, I started going on walks with my brother-in-law, and we just kind of go walking through the park. My parents live right next to a few great areas to hike, and we were going on walks, and it was fine. But then just kind of as time moved on, I just stopped going on them. And then it kind of transformed into doing a whole lot of nothing and just kind of sitting there. And, I had gotten down pretty low and then just came right back. And then it just kind of turned into, well, I kind of know what to do. I know just move a lot, but I don't know how much of some kind of food to eat. Am I eating what's right? Am I, eating a lot of protein? Am I eating enough? I know, you're not supposed to eat a lot of carbs, but just not knowing like the correct amounts of things. Yeah. So getting a coach who can direct me on, you should be eating this much protein, this many carbs, this much fat, kind of give me the framework of where I should be in terms of diet. And then also here are some exercises on top of walking, on top of just moving that will help you get to where you need to go. So the overall structure, as opposed to just, well, I'm walking, I, I know walking is good for you. So it's just a whole bunch of needed structure.
Yeah, totally. And what I found too, I even noticed this with myself, is it's funny when you mentioned that you'd bought like this walking pad and these treadmills, or not walking, like the walking pad treadmill and the weights or whatever. I was like, man, how many things do I have that are laying around my office? And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna use that. And
Yeah.
I'm like, what is the thing that causes you to actually then go and use it? And I think a lot of it is just structure. And it's like, okay, here's the game plan. Here's how we're going to use these in this certain time, and just removing any level of uncertainty. Because that's what I've found, and it sounds like for you, is the biggest thing that causes people to be like, kind of like that last little bit of hesitation. And if you're just starting a journey, it takes momentum to get started. So it sounds like for you, and for anyone watching this, just getting really crystal clear on like what the specifics are. It's not enough to just know to like eat healthy. It's like what are the specific foods, the specific numbers, the specific reps. The more specific you can get, the easier it is to then say, okay, I now know from a binary standpoint if I did it or if I didn't, and then I can have data on that. And so kudos to you, man, for just like getting deeper, getting deeper, getting deeper. What would you say some of the biggest wins physically, mentally, in whatever, emotionally, that you've noticed over the last, couple months?
So probably my biggest win that was just kind of crystal clear was I went on a trip down to Austin, Texas, and I had a flight leaving my city going to Seattle, and then I would have an hour layover, and then I'd have another flight down to Austin. Well, the flight from my city to Seattle got delayed an hour. So my layover turned into it is about 10 minutes between when my plane lands and the doors close on the other flight. And so I had to full sprint with suitcase and backpack off the plane through the airport, downstairs onto a tram, rest for like 3 minutes as it went to the next terminal, then up two flights of stairs and through that terminal just to make it to my flight. And I think before I'd started this, there's not a chance I would have been able to do that.
Yeah. The classic Home Alone scene.
Oh yeah. No, that is not a day I'd want to relive. But it was kind of one of those like after it all happened, just one of those I can't believe I actually managed to do that.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like you never want that to happen, but the pride of it happening is also
yeah.
at the same time kind of this like, oh yeah, like I'm glad I made it, but if I wouldn't have made it, that would have sucked. Um, for you, what would you say someone who's in your shoes, right? They were doing all kind of the like either mistakes you were making or they were just kind of stuck and wanting to make a change and they had these dreams, right? The same dreams that you have. What would you say three things to focus on, right? Because there's so much information and there's so many things you can focus on. What would you say the three things for you were, and what would you say to that person?
So for me, I would just tell them really focus on what you're eating, focus on how much of each kind of protein, fat, and carb, and then how many calories throughout the day. Really understand kind of where your limit is, which is hard to do without somebody who's a coach helping you, but just finding out where that baseline is. Really just kind of making the flip decision of I'm doing this. It's not, I'm going to kind of dip my feet in, kind of see how it goes. It's nope, I am doing this. I'm going to figure it out, get help along the way, and actually get it done. And then the third piece would be don't get discouraged. There are going to be points like I've had where it's kind of a plateau for a little bit, where you're just like, I'm doing all the right stuff. I've been doing what I've been doing, and yet somehow I'm keeping the weight. I haven't been losing it like I have been. It's just understanding sometimes your body plateaus for a bit, and then you can drop off. It's it's really hard to keep that momentum when it doesn't seem like anything's helping.
Mm. Yeah, no, that's a really good point because you totally could be doing everything right. And I think that's where coaching is really helpful just to be like, hey, stay the course and keep believing. You mentioned another one that, you could kind of parlay into a Star Wars quote. You were like, no, I'm doing this all the way. And I always use that do or do not quote by Yoda as kind of more of a, not that trying is bad, but it's more the language behind the intent. If you go in like, oh, I'm going to try to start working out, right? You're already cooked. You're right because you're saying I'm gonna maybe kind of dip my toe in and see how it is, as opposed to no, Yoda's like, dude, cannonball into that river or just don't, because you're not going to want to, inch your way in. But once you cannonball in, right, you're fully committed, you're ready to roll. Um, in that lens, I'm going to hit you with a random Star Wars quote. I've never asked anyone this, or not Star Wars quote, Star Wars question. What's your favorite weapon? Like blaster, rifle, rocket, favorite weapon in all of Star Wars?
I mean, it feels kind of cliche, but the lightsabers,
That's a good
like,
answer.
I have a pretty extensive collection of them myself.
Favorite
So,
lightsaber hilt then. Let's go.
um, probably Obi-Wan Episode 1.
Mm,
Like this has been one of my favorites for the long time, and it's kind of a shame that he loses it in Episode 1.
mm,
But just every time he wielded it, I'm like, that is a very good looking lightsaber.
yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. It gets kicked down the thing by Mullen, so there is no recovering it like Luke recovers that, Anakin saber. And the, saber that cuts Maul in half is Qui-Gon's. And so that one's always the one that I always remember from that era. I had a Qui-Gon lightsaber as a kid, the one you like flash out and then you're like
Oh yeah,
whacking
I still
people.
have a couple of those.
Yeah, right. And so that's a good point. That's like because he has, I think, three different ones at least.
Uh, so the one in Episode 2 is very close, but not the same as Episode 1.
Right. Yep.
But
And then
yeah, and then he has the third one that he carries into the fourth and everything.
yeah, totally. So no, that's a good one. Um, any other like final words of just encouragement for someone starting their journey? Are there any other final thoughts? This has been like great, really insightful, and just to the point, which I absolutely love because that's really what people need.
So really, it's just the belief that you can. Don't be like, well, I've seen other people do it, but I can't because of X, Y, and Z reason. It really is just kind of a understand that you want to do it, you can do it, and you just need to take that action and set that mental mindset of I'm going to do it, and then how. Kind of as you did with a Yoda quote, one of those, Luke says, I don't believe it, and Yoda's like, that's why you fail. Because you didn't believe that you could do it, so you didn't try and you failed.
Yeah. One last question. What has given you such a strong conviction and belief in yourself?
Um, I think it's because I've had a few people around me who always tear themselves down too quickly of I can't do this, I'm too afraid to do this, and then they just get in their own head and then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy of it starts off rough or they can't do it. And I always just watch that going, I don't want to tell myself I can't because I might be right. I just want to say, okay, I'm going to do this. How am I going to do this?
Yeah. Yeah, it reminds me of that Henry Ford quote. I don't know, maybe it's Henry Ford, someone, but it's like whether you think you can or you can't, you're right.
Yeah,
So, dude, love it, man. Words of wisdom, and thanks for taking the time. And we'll continue to watch your career in the academy with great interest, Trooper.
I am very excited to keep going and see how far we can go.
All right, right on. Keep it up, brother.